Hello and welcome to a special live stealth camping edition of Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, the investigative journalism program where I ask the question, whatever happened to the pizza at McDonald's? I'm your host, Brian Thompson, and I am currently camping stealthily in my car in the parking lot of an undisclosed McDonald's somewhere in the county of Los Angeles, in the state of California, in the country of the United States of America, on the continent of North America, on the tectonic plate, which is also called North America, on the planet of Earth, Milky Way galaxy, the universe. Hopefully this is not enough location data for any amateur detectives or professional law enforcement to deduce my exact position, as I cannot risk any unwanted attention that might force me to leave. I apologize. There were some technical difficulties earlier when I started broadcasting live and no one was able to hear me. I hope that those technical difficulties have been fixed. If someone could acknowledge that by tweeting a tweet at me on my Twitter, twitter.com/pizza@McD's, I would greatly appreciate that. As I was saying, it is my goal to observe any nefarious activity, either McDonald's pizza related or otherwise, that might occur at McDonald's under cover of darkness. And there are several more hours of darkness to go. According to the National Weather Service, sunrise is scheduled to occur at my location at exactly 6:09 a.m. And it is currently 10:21 p.m. So, assuming many of my listeners are not wizards of either math or time, I can tell you that means I have roughly 8-ish hours left in store before my expedition can be considered complete. And I do have an acknowledgement that I am able to be heard. That is very reassuring. So as this is a live broadcast, I will be monitoring my Twitter account at pizza@McD's for any comments or questions, so please feel free to send those in. Considering the hour, I expect only to hear from those who suffer from either diagnosed or undiagnosed night owldom, so apologies in advance for any of these messages that might seem disturbing. They will no doubt be the products of unstable, sleep-deprived minds. Now, in the days before my expedition, I received several correspondences from those concerned for my safety. And rest assured that I have taken every conceivable precaution against being harmed throughout the evening. I have chosen a McDonald's with a large enough parking lot that I can enjoy some amount of seclusion while parked, but also be in clear view of any passing motorists who might notice me if I were to be harassed or assaulted or burgled or potentially even fiddled with. So I'm also very close to several businesses that are open 24 hours, not just the McDonald's in question, but also an all-night truck stop and a diner called Denny's. So in an emergency, I can safely seek asylum in any one of these places, as I have made sure that their doors all bear the Safe Place logo. I do not know if you've seen this logo. It's basically the two people from the Children Crossing sign giving each other a hug. And that indicates that the employees inside that store are fully trained in making their space safe. Additionally, I have watched several YouTube.com how-to videos on karate techniques. So even though I am a pacifist, I will be able to handle myself if, God ben David forbid, I am thrust into a situation that calls for necessary violence, assuming, of course, that my legs are not too cramped from having been in the car. Some observations so far from the parking lot. I have not observed what I would classify as nefarious activity. I did notice that things have become quite a bit busier since about 9:45 p.m. I did not know that there was such thing as a 10 p.m. rush or anything like that, but it does appear to be the case. Shortly before I started broadcasting, there was a car that parked right across from me, and a young girl got out of the back seat and proceeded to walk in the opposite direction from the McDonald's into what I can only describe as an inky blackness. And then she returned with a gift bag in hand, complete with tissue paper wadded up and poking out of the top. And then she walked all the way across my field of view in the opposite direction. Again, not into the McDonald's, but out of view toward the dumpsters. So I do not know what the situation was about. All I know is that a child retrieved a gift from the darkness and brought it to the dumpster area. And perhaps there's a late night birthday party or a quinceañera going on there, but if there was, it must have been quite short because she very quickly returned to the car and it sped away. Maybe a little bit later I'll go over there and see if I can figure out the situation with this gift bag, which honestly, frankly, right now, I should probably classify as a suspicious package. But anyway, as a safety measure of last resort, I have also noted that the strip mall across the street from the parking lot contains a gun store. Now, it is currently closed because business hours have passed, but if worst comes to worst, or even, again, God ben David forbid, if worst comes to something even worse than that, I am prepared to break the glass of the gun store's safety glass display window and retrieve a firearm from inside, and if I have to, use it to club my attacker to death. Now, I also spent some time earlier today Google.coming stealth camping safety tips, and I discovered an article entitled 10 Tips for Stealth Camping. And I would like to go through those tips right now, sort of as both a checklist for myself and my own edification to make sure I am as safe as possible, and also for your education in case you decide you would like to stealth camp in the future. So tip number 1, stay quiet and keep lights to a minimum. Now, I have already tested the sound dampening ability of my car. A little bit earlier this week, I parked outside of an LA Fitness and I screamed insults at exiting exercisers at varying volumes. And using this method, I have determined exactly how loudly I can talk before someone outside the car can hear me. And also, as an interesting corollary to this research, I have determined that some people can be quite sensitive to strangers telling them that their pecs look a little bit watery. Now, regarding the lights situation, I intend to keep the inside of my car quite dim, though if I become bored and want to, for example, read a book, I will, of course, have to use my high-powered flashlight so that I do not damage my eyesight. Tip number 2, keep clear of any signs that say private property or no trespassing. Now, this tip does not apply to me. Everywhere on a McDonald's campus is public property, save for the restroom. And I very quickly dismissed the idea of camping there on account of there are very, very few places in the restroom where I would want to lie down. Tip number 3, have a clear exit. Now, again, I do not want to give too many identifying details away, but I am quite close to an interstate highway. I estimate that with just a quick sprint of about 50 yards, plus a few vaults over concrete barriers, I could almost instantly relocate myself away from danger and into the safety of oncoming traffic. Tip number 4, get out early. Now, this tip I am not so sure about. I must remain at my campsite until sunrise, lest I fail to observe any nefarious activity conducted under cover of darkness. But I do not know if sunrise is as early as the author of this list would recommend. For many, sunrise is quite early indeed, but there are others for whom sunrise is actually considered quite late, for example, drunks. So for safety's sake, I have determined that even if it is not quite light enough outside for me to consider it to be sunrise, I will leave my campsite as soon as I hear the crow of a cock. Tip number 5, be aware of what is around you. Well, as I have already detailed, I am quite aware of what is around me, several 24-hour businesses, and the sleepwalkers who patronize them. Tip number 6, don't park in the same place. Now, I believe this is a safety tip meant for those who intend to stealth camp in the same location for multiple nights. If anything, I think in my situation, it would attract less attention if I remain in the same parking spot throughout my expedition. If I move around from spot to spot, I risk being noticed by potentially a nosy employee who could possibly film me for a viral TikTok video and captioned, I don't know, something along the lines of, "This guy is really picky about parking spots," something like that. Tip number 7, park somewhere safe. Well, all due respect to the author, but it seems like it would be more prudent to place this safety tip at number 1. Tip number 8, park in spaces where you aren't noticed. Well, now it just seems like perhaps they metaphorically bit off a little bit more than they could chew, attempting to come up with 10 different tips. This is fairly redundant. Tip number 9, park somewhere flat. Now, actually, this is very good advice. Again, not to reveal too many details about the area, but I am in a somewhat hilly location. So to prevent my car from rolling out of my spot, I took a moment when I first arrived to visit the truck stop next door for some last-minute supplies. And on my shopping list were some sturdy objects that I could place behind my tires to act as something of a brace. And I believe I found a very clever solution by purchasing 4 large bags of rock-solid ice. Tip number 10, prepare where you're going to stay early. I did this very thing when reconnoitering my campsite earlier this week. I believe that I currently have access to all the supplies I might need, but just in case, I stowed away some bottles of water and some sticks of beef jerky all around the area by hiding them inside various garbage cans. So I will be able to retrieve those if need be. Well, that about does it for the 10 safety tips. With that down, let me now check in with social media and see if there are any questions or comments from twitter.com/pizza@McD's or perhaps instagram.com/pizza@McD's or pizza@McDonald's@gmail.com, etc., 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 etc. Okay. Let me check. From Jacob Ford, a suggestion: during the time this McDonald's is closed, consider using these authorized stencils to trap hungry, nefarious actors in an impossible drive-through loop. And there is a link to some stencils, McDonald's parking lot stencils. Oh, these are, this appears to be an industrial supply website with stencils for use in painting symbols on the pavement, such as drive-through or thank you, or an arrow pointing to an area called mobile pickup. If one were chaos-oriented, one could cause quite a bit of chaos using these stencils. They are prohibitively expensive. The drive-through stencil is $307.05. But regardless, this is not going to help me in any way because this McDonald's does not close. It is open 24 hours. Let's see, any more? Question again from Jacob Ford. Should it become possible to revive a McDonald's pizza using the genetic engineering technology CRISPR, would you consider it canon? Now, this is a very interesting question. As science enthusiasts know, Crispy is a type of computer program where you can insert a floppy disk into your computer and then it will print out a biological being, an animal, perhaps even a human baby, according to whatever parameters you set in whatever design program you happen to be using, like Print Shop Pro or something like that. I guess conceivably you could create a McDonald's pizza, but like other creatures created via this method, I do not believe that pizza would have a soul. So I would consider it non-canon. Let's see. Pam Phobetius asks, have you already been chased into the woods? Can't hear anything on your... Oh, well, that hopefully that's been solved. You can hear me now. I have not been chased into the woods. There are actually no woods around me. Some of the surrounding businesses have closed for the evening and have gone dark. And as I said before, there are certain corners of this parking lot that are bathed in an inky blackness. But I do not believe that I would classify the area beyond as woods, although there are several bushes. But I would not run into those for fear of running into one of the things that lives in a bush, like a rabid raccoon or perhaps even a flasher. Gally asks, is your intro music 4'33" by any chance? I'm not sure what that means, but I believe that my intro music is a song called Curtain Call, which is available from a band called iMovie Jingles. Let's see. I can't hear anything. The stream is silent. Okay, well, I'm not getting any audio, etc., etc. Michael Michael Pepe asks, any updates on the Jeb/Rod Stewart/ADAC story? One of the great under-the-radar episodes of your program, not to mention one of my favorites ever. Also, please let us know if you see any big rigs scooting through the drive-thru after hours. Thank you for the question. Yes, a while back there was an incident involving Rod Stewart, the famed singer. I discovered someone who might have some information about McDonald's Pizza, who was the guardian of a child who was a model train enthusiast. And I also, at the same time, discovered that the famed singer Rod Stewart is also a model train enthusiast, having built an exact replica of, I believe, his hometown somewhere in England, with a model train set running through it in his attic over the course of many, many, many years. So I was trying to set up a situation where I could invite this model train enthusiast child to Rod Stewart's house here in Los Angeles, ostensibly to observe the model trains, but also so I could document the situation and ask this child some information about McDonald's Pizza. Unfortunately, this thread did not go anywhere for a few reasons. One of those being that Mr. Rod Stewart has just released a brand new album, which he is in the process of touring around the country. And I do not like to be rude, but I did listen to the lead single, and it is quite bad. He is doing what I refer to as talk singing, which is the sort of singing that you might hear from a A-list Hollywood star who decides that it would be a good idea to star in a musical, even though they do not necessarily have the proverbial chops to do so. I'm speaking, of course, of Johnny Depp in The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Mr. Sweeney Todd. I am speaking of Russell Crowe in the otherwise wonderful musical Les Miserables. Things like that. So in light of that, and in light of the fact that I knew that Mr. Stewart would be rehearsing for his tour and would probably be playing that horrible song over and over again at his house, I thought it best not to try to go over there for any reason whatsoever until he releases some more music. And yes, I will let you know if there's any big rig that goes through the drive-through. From where I am sitting, which is just across from the drive-thru, I do not see any reason why a big rig could not fit through there. There is not even an awning or anything like that covering the drive-thru window, which frankly may be an OSHA violation of some sort, although it does not rain here very often. Continuing. Something about the McAfrica burger. I might address that at a later date. Not Jim writes, regarding your upcoming live stream, I would like information as to what applications would be required on my mobile telecommunications. Okay, well, if you are listening to this, you know that it does not require any sort of special application. There's just a link to an internet website where you may listen to the stream. Some new questions have just rolled in. Braden Catman asks, I have a Q. I'd like you to A. What is the difference between modernism and postmodernism? Well, I think it is best exemplified by the classic English language novel, The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy Gentleman by Lawrence Stern. It was one of the very first novels ever written, and it is considered to be postmodern, and then everything after that became modern. Pam Phobetius says that I can now be heard. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank God Ben David, as I'm being told to have, or God Ben David is being directed to be with me. I would consider that a prayer, even if typed out in electronic form. God does have Twitter. Now checking my Instagram. I will ask the app not to track. I'm leaving comments via the Spreaker app. Please let me know if you are actively ignoring the message or you cannot see it. Either way is fine. From Crudo Chop asking this question. Well, I do not know how to access the Spreaker app as I am using Spreaker to live stream. So I guess the answer to your question is I am ignoring it. Thankfully, it is fine. B-wording Bruntilda asks, which employees may be in closest proximity to any important official McDonald's documentation or access to McDonald's internal knowledge hub? This I do not know yet, as I have not gone inside the McDonald's, and all I can say is metaphorically stay tuned for some developments on that front. The same person also comments, are there any notable changes in operation of this McDonald's across shifts? Well, I do not believe I have observed a shift change. In fact, I have not seen any employees at all, except one who came to dump some dump into the dumpster. But I believe they went right back inside to continue work. I just hope she washed her hands. Saturday night Fiva commented, why are you prejudiced against East Coast fans? Well, I do understand that doing this live stream overnight in the Pacific Standard Time Zone means that people on the East Coast would have to tune in quite a late hour. I started around 10:30 p.m., so that means that they would have to tune in a little bit. One moment. At 11. Well, they would have to tune in sometime later than that. And I do apologize. I, as many listeners know, crowdfunded this stealth camping expedition. I did need a couple of supplies. I needed a package of bottled water to drink throughout the night so that I do not become dehydrated. And I also needed a package of fake mustaches to disguise myself in case anyone recognized me as an enemy of the corporation and refused to speak to me. I am wearing one of those mustaches. I have yet to drink one of the bottles of water, but those cost about $12 between the two of them, so I did have to do some crowdfunding. If I were to do a live broadcast from the East Coast, it would cost significantly more. Airfare, the cost of renting a car to camp inside of, the cost of hiring a local guide or fixer to make sure that I am not harassed by whatever warlord happens to control that region of the United States. And of course, I would have to also carry a fairly healthy supply of petty cash to pay any bribes to the local corrupt authorities or, things such as that. So it would require quite a bit more fundraising. And frankly, I did not have the time to put those funds together on such short notice. But perhaps in the future, I will be able to do so. Donkey Hands says, how many pieces of litter do you spy on the premises of the parking lot? Well, let me don my glasses and take a look around. This parking lot is remarkably clean. Yes, I do not see any paper refuse of any kind, no wrappers or other sort of objects that you might find in a McDonald's parking lot. One of those strange rubber gloves that is only for one finger. Nothing like that. No, the closest thing to litter I see is a Tesla. Andy Dunn comments, what kind of security do they have on hand? And also, how many people are working at the McDonald's? Well, as I said, I have not been inside. I have only seen the one employee who apparently is on dumpster duty. She must have rubbed management metaphorically the wrong way. But other than that, I do not know exactly how many people are inside. Hopefully, I hope to learn that information in a very short time. But as to your other question, what kind of security do they have on hand? As far as I know, basically none. There are some street lights, and I am parked directly beneath one. I did debate whether or not I should park in total darkness. I decided against it. I figured that even in the darkest parking spot in this parking lot, my car would still be somewhat visible, and especially as the hours roll on and it becomes less busy here at this McDonald's, that might become more and more suspicious that a gentleman wearing a fake mustache is sitting in a fogged up car in the darkest possible parking spot. So even though I am somewhat exposed under this street light or parking lot light, sometimes it is best to hide in plain sight, as they say. Okay. I believe that about does it for questions and comments from social media right now. So let's see what's next on the agenda. Actually, I believe now would be a very good time to demonstrate one of the key skills possessed by any award-worthy journalist such as myself. And that is the ability to turn any adverse circumstance into an opportunity for journalism. Now, case in point, I am currently experiencing two what I would call biological issues. One is sleepiness, and the other is hunger. Now, in all my preparation for this expedition, I sort of forgot to eat anything today. Now, this is in one way a good thing as I am watching my figure, but in another way, it is quite bad as I need food to survive. And it is also well past my usual bedtime, and I'm afraid the driver's seat of my car is quite temptingly comfortable. So I fear a senses-dulling sleep may fall upon me if I do not seek some kind of chemical solution. Thankfully, the nearby McDonald's offers remedies for both of these afflictions. So inside, I can order a meal, which will satiate my hunger, and with this meal, I can also order some sort of caffeinated beverage, which should keep me alert enough not to nod off and potentially miss observing any nefarious activity. And even better than that, I can use the situation to my journalistic advantage by taking my recording device into the restaurant itself and conducting some live reportage, unprecedented in the field of McDonald's investigation. So, I guess, remain metaphorically tuned in as I bring you inside. Okay, here we go. I'm leaving my car, making sure my headlights are off. I do not run down the battery. I can see through the windows. There are a few people dining inside the dining room right now. And in fact, a well-dressed couple just entered the restaurant. A very elegantly dressed older woman and her male companion who is wearing a full suit. They might be good to talk to. They look like they might be old enough to remember when McDonald's served pizza. Okay, I'm exiting my car right now. I am parked fairly close to a dangerous-looking bush, but it appears there are no rabid raccoons or streakers or anything like that inside. Locking my door. I do have to cross the drive-through lane on foot as I make my way to the door. Hopefully I will not be flattened by an approaching car. And I have made it safely, although this car is coming dangerously close to me. Going inside. I have made my way to a back corner of the restaurant's dining room. It is quite busy in here, and I'm trying not to disturb any of the diners. There's a bit of a situation. There is no one manning the front cash registers. There's a sign up that says to use the kiosks. There are what they call kiosks. They're actually these semi-intelligent robots that are programmed with the McDonald's menu and can take your order. I guess this is either for safety reasons, so that employees aren't exposed to the filthy mouths and hands of customers, or perhaps it's just due to laziness. But I wish I could speak to someone in person and not have to order at a robot. I also wish I could speak more loudly and candidly, but I was going to go in the bathroom for some privacy, but there is a line. And I definitely do not want to be in there doing any kind of reporting next to someone who is issuing reports from his orifice. I guess I will just go and make an order at the kiosk and hope for the best. Bear with me.
Yes, 174.
I wish there was one guy like who are real people and they just stand.
Oh. Okay, I'm currently alone in the bathroom. I just washed my hands as another person left. I ordered at the kiosk. I ordered a quarter pounder, no cheese. I will remove the bun because, as I said, I am watching my figure. I ordered also, instead of Frenching fries, I purchased a side of apple slices, once more because I am watching my figure. I am currently customer number 981. I plan to interrogate the McDonald's employee who hands me my food. One moment while I dry my hands. Okay, I have taken a seat at a table as I await my order. For those of you who may be wondering why I did not use the bathroom for, bathroom activities, the fact is that I very rarely have to do anything like that throughout the day. I use the bathroom for bathroom far less than most people do. This might be because I very rarely drink any sort of liquid. I mostly just eat a lot of wet food. So there are about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, perhaps 20 or so customers in here. It is quite busy for a McDonald's dining room at 10 p.m. In my estimation, I cannot help but notice that several people are rather frustrated by the required robot usage and are sort of perplexed as to why they can't speak with an actual employee to order their food. I sympathize. The robots, as I said, are only semi-intelligent, and they are not able to take special requests in the same way that a human being can. 981. Oh, that's me. They're calling my number. One moment. Excuse me. Yeah, I was just trying to order pizza at the kiosk. Do you not serve pizza here?
We don't serve pizza. Do we used to?
Did you used to?
I think like back in the 1980s, something back before. All I say we don't serve pizza, but we don't serve it.
It's been a while then?
Yeah, it's been like
but
a whole while.
Do you mind if I ask, does anybody come around here at night to make sure that you're not serving pizza anymore? Like any sort of nefarious?
Everything's on the option here, so there shouldn't be enough for pizza.
Okay, I believe you. Thank you. Oh, one more question. Can you tell me which of the soft drinks are caffeinated?
Caffeinated?
Yes.
None should be caffeinated other than the coffee.
Oh, just the coffee is caffeinated?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
well.
decaf, so if you wanted to know.
Okay, thank you. Just the coffee is caffeinated. Well, I believe I just caught that employee in one fib, and potentially I caught him in multiple fibs. Again, as I am watching my figure, I will partake of a diet caffeinated beverage. Either Diet Coca-Cola or Diet Dr. Pepper. And, who am I to refute the credentials of a medical professional? I will take the Diet Dr. Pepper. I have a lid for my drink. I do not see any straws. Oh, there's a sign that says ask for straws at front counter. Now I understand that some people are against using straws because they do end up lodged in the noses of sea turtles, etc. But I ask you this, if you are underwater and struggling to breathe, would you not want a straw in your nose? One moment. Excuse me, but sorry, do you also find it very annoying that you have to order at this
soda
kiosk?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just confirmation. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I am outside the restaurant, returning to my car, crossing the dangerous drive-through lane yet again, and I once again was not flattened. Well, that was a very interesting experience. I ordered some food, hopefully nothing too fattening. As I said, I will remove the bun of my quarter pounder and will enjoy these apple slices rather than quite caloric Frenching fries. And I do look forward to the caffeine coursing through my veins once I consume this Diet Dr. Pepper. But that leads me to this topic of discussion. So I do not know exactly how much my recording device was able to pick up, but I did question the McDonald's employee inside. Well, first of all, on my way out, I did question a customer who was looking rather irritated, standing by the kiosk, and asked her if she was annoyed by having to use these semi-intelligent robots to order food. And she did confirm that, yes, she was. So hopefully once my stealth camping expedition is over and I am safely away from this site, away from anyone who might want to fiddle me with great prejudice, I will be able to leave a comment on maybe perhaps the Yelp page for this McDonald's, letting them know exactly the situation vis-a-vis customer satisfaction, RE, this kiosk situation. But anyway, as I was saying, I asked the employee if they served pizza. Of course, he said no. I knew that would be the case. And actually, to his credit, instead of completely shutting down and returning to the safety of the back kitchen where common people such as you and me are not allowed to enter, and therefore he can enjoy some safety against having to answer any sort of uncomfortable questions. He did volunteer that he believed the McDonald's may have once served pizza sometime in the distant past. He said the 1980s. You could argue that that is technically true. There was a test market for certain types of pizza-like products in the 1980s, including the McPizza and the what amounted to the pizza-flavored Hot Pocket. Of course, what we consider to be McDonald's pizza, which would be the original recipe variety available in both personal and family size, deluxe, pepperoni, etc., traditional type of pizza, was not introduced until the early 1990s. But I would not expect this young man to know that. People of a certain age, the past before they were born is rather murky. They're very unclear about when things happened, what things happened, and I wouldn't expect them to know about anything that happened before they were born. Personally, when I was growing up, I was aware of many things that happened before I was born because they were written down or perhaps even filmed. But these days, children are only looking at their phones, so I wouldn't expect him to know. But he was somewhat aware of it, and he was rather helpful, did inform me they did not have pizza. But then when I asked him which of their beverages were caffeinated, which I had a fairly clear idea myself which ones were caffeinated and which were not, he said the only beverage they had that was caffeinated was coffee. And I know that is not the case. So that throws the entire interrogation into question. What he told me about not having pizza, about having previously served pizza, about nefarious characters coming to McDonald's in the middle of the night to make sure that they do not serve pizza. He answered in the negative to that. I do not know whether to trust that. So I was sort of hoping that I would be treated with some amount of candor, so that perhaps I could wrap up my investigation a tad early and not have to stay here for 8 hours. But apparently that is not the case. But the silver lining is that I have acquired some food, and hopefully this will give me the energy I need to make it through the evening. The Diet Dr. Pepper seems rather sweeter than normal. You run the risk at a soda fountain at an establishment like a McDonald's that the syrup to carbonated water, aka seltzer ratio, is not exactly what it should be. Most of the time there is less syrup than they should have put in the machine, and so you end up with soda that is quite watery indeed. Sometimes, especially if you're drinking sort of a caramel-colored soda like a Coca-Cola or a Dr. Pepper or something like that, it can come out tasting a bit of Robitussin. But they seem to have gone the opposite route with this particular soda fountain at this particular McDonald's, because this is quite syrupy Diet Dr. Pepper, almost to an extreme. But I do have my package of apple slices. Let me just check the ingredients here to make sure that these are, in fact, apples. Ingredients. Apples. Okay, that is good news. Calcium ascorbate, which is, it explains, a blend of calcium and vitamin C to maintain freshness and color, and nothing else. 15 calories per serving. Okay, so I should be able to maintain my my beautiful figure consuming those, and I also received my quarter pounder, making sure that they did not add cheese as I requested, and they did not. So I shall consume my food while I answer some more questions and address some more comments from social media. Please keep those coming in. Here's a question from Crudo Chop. Crudo Chop comments, how will you be utilizing the buns of the quarter pounder to your advantage? Possibly ward off any rabid raccoons on McDonald's payroll in order to neutralize any would-be private investigators. It's an interesting question. As anyone who knows, raccoons will eat just about anything. They love everything. Cat food especially, but they will eat anything at all, from foodstuffs to non-foodstuffs, cast-off toenails, garbage, etc., etc. I am not sure how I could use these buns to ward off raccoons. In fact, it seems like, if anything, it would be raccoon bait. I guess I could set up some breadcrumb trails using the buns that the raccoons might be able to follow, and that way I could direct their movements. As you said, possibly ward off any rabid raccoons on McDonald's payroll in order to neutralize any would-be private investigators. Maybe that's what you're thinking of as well, that perhaps I could redirect these rabid raccoons toward the nefarious actors should they show up tonight, and perhaps sick them on them and watch as a battle between raccoon and nefarious actor erupts before my very eyes. That's possible, but I do not know, first of all, if any nefarious actors will show up. I am certain they will, but there is always a possibility that they will not. And then also, even if they do, I do not know from where they would come. I would assume from some hidden subterranean portal, perhaps a hole in the ground with a blanket over it, or maybe even crawling out from inside one of the toilets, inside the McDonald's bathroom. As I was in there earlier, and I did see that one of them was out of order and completely covered. Perhaps that was to hide the fact that it is a secret entrance into the McDonald's from some sort of underground tunnel system or lair. But I do not know. Somebody just drove by and tossed a piece of garbage out of the window of their car and into the dumpster beside me. Quite skillful. I guess there's also the possibility that I could use these buns against the raccoons by poisoning them with something that would be poisonous to a raccoon, and then watching as they consume them and then ultimately pass away. But I do not want to do that. I am a lover of animals, and I would certainly not want to poison one with a McDonald's hamburger bun. So to answer your question, what am I going to do with these buns? I guess I will just do what I do with most of my food waste in my car and just toss it into the back seat until it becomes compost. Let's see. Let me take a bite of my hamburger patty. Well, I am no food critic. So forgive me if I am unable to describe the flavor to a degree satisfactory to any foodies in the audience, but I would go so far as to say that this quarter pounder is almost borderline beef-like in its flavor. Oh, yes. Definitely approaching the flavor of beef. Apologies as well for eating on microphone. I do understand that is a pet peeve of many podcast listeners, but I am sorry, but I cannot cater to absolutely everyone's pet peeves. If I had to cater to the pet peeves of everyone who listens to a podcast, then I would never use vocal fry or anything like that really throws people into a rage the instant they hear it. Let's see here. Any other questions or comments? That was from Instagram. Let me check my Twitter. John Ullman says, Congress is also up all night voting on the climate. Climate, and then there's no E, and then there are 2 dots. And then he continues, I mean Inflation Reduction Act. Do you think you can compete with Future of the Planet tonight for listener attention? Interesting question. I did not know that there was any way to watch Congress debating these issues all night or listen to them or anything like that. I did not know that there was any sort of live stream that enables anyone to do so. I would imagine if there was, it would have to be on the C-SPAN channel, right? Something like that. And as far as I was aware, C-SPAN's programming changes drastically in the late night hours on Friday and Saturday nights. I believe it turns into C-SPAN Up All Night. And they just usually air a sort of cheap, for lack of a better word, schlocky productions, sort of like Roger Corman style knockoffs of things like congressional hearings and debates and things like that. Usually featuring a good deal of skin and profanity. And if I recall correctly, I believe C-SPAN Up All Night is hosted on Friday nights by Gilbert Gottfried and Saturday nights by Rhonda Shear. I do not know if that is still the case. I do believe that at least one of those people has passed away. But if tonight there is an actual debate going on C-SPAN and any listeners would rather tune into that, I do understand, although I do not understand why you would not just do so on a separate device and listen to both me and that at the same time. Do you not have 2 ears? Apologies to anyone who only has 1 ear. Gally asks, Dear Pizza at McD's, what would you do if you found out that a bad actor had sneaked a curse word into one of your earlier podcasts? Oh, no. Pardon me, I'm still consuming my hamburger. What would I do if I found out a bad actor had sneaked a curse word into one of my earlier podcasts? Well, in one way, I would be thrown into a rage. In fact, thinking about it, just thinking about the very idea of it is starting to get my proverbial dander metaphorically up, as you can probably hear in my voice. But on the other hand, this program has been going on for quite a while, an almost embarrassingly long time. So anyone who heard one of the earlier episodes, perhaps as a child who is incapable, constitutionally incapable or emotionally incapable of hearing a curse word, is most likely not a minor so much now as a major, at least over the age of 22, 23, something like that. In which case, hearing such a word, while not pleasant, even as an adult, I do not like hearing such words. They spit in the face of both me and my God. But I can hear them without it causing too much psychological damage to me. So if someone has done this and inserted such a word into an older episode of the program, and let's say someone who grew up listening to the program goes back for a re-listen, which I hear is quite popular. I think most people who listen to this show, when they have a free hour or two, they'll go back and listen to all 200 episodes over and over and over again. If they do end up hearing this wayward word inserted by some sort of bad actor, as you said, then it probably would not cause them very much damage. But again, it would raise my proverbial dander, and I would stop at nothing to get to the bottom of it and pursue all legal punishment against the responsible party, up to and including execution. Jacob Ford says, those of us who financially supported the mission would appreciate an expense report on what you plan to do with the remaining $5.27 worth of your convincing disguise kit, especially the 2 party boy disguises. Well, as far as disguises go, the only one I factored into my $12 budget was this package of fake mustaches, which, see if I can retrieve the package right now. It is called Mustache Party, and it includes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 different fake mustaches, all of different shapes and sizes and attitudes. Well, actually, not all different. There are some repeats throughout. It actually only has, and that I'm looking at, it's 6 different mustaches. There's a duplicate for each. One is called Smarty. One is called Rogue. One is called Scoundrel. That is the one that I am wearing right now. One is called Casanova. One is called Party Boy, as mentioned. One is called Bandito. The reason I purchased these is because I do not want to run the risk of being recognized by any employees should I have to go back inside the McDonald's at any point throughout the night, which is very likely I will need to do, because there are not very many apple slices in this package of apple slices, and I will, of course, need more apple slices as the night wears on. And I plan to use a different mustache every time, just to make sure I'm not recognized. You do raise a good point, and this is not one that I noticed before now, and I do apologize for my lack of observation on this matter, that these do repeat. So let's say, for instance, that I wear the Party Boy mustache once, and then a few hours later I go back inside and I'm wearing another Party Boy mustache. Would that not defeat the purpose of purchasing all of these different mustaches? This is a good question. Well, I guess once I use one of each of these 6 unique mustaches, and let's say one falls off if I become quite nervous. Let's say I run into one of these hypothetical nefarious actors and am forced into some sort of a conflict or confrontation that increases my glandular activity to the point where my body becomes moist with a great deal of sweat or something like that, and my fake mustache slides off of my lip and falls on the ground, I will, of course, need a backup. So that is somewhat comforting to have. Of course, the sort of other edge of this double-edged sword situation is that the very same comforting feeling that I get from knowing that I have the backup mustache probably means that my glandular activity will not be elevated to such an extreme where my fake mustache slides off of my sweaty lip, so that I will not need the backup mustache. It is a bit of a, like I said, a double-edged sword, or a catch-22, or a sticky, I believe in England they're called it's called a sticky widget, this type of situation. Regardless, hypothetically speaking, if I do not end up having to use any of these duplicates, then I will be forced, I do not want to be wasteful, so I will be forced to donate them to perhaps a Montessori school or something like some sort of a educational establishment meant for very young children who spend most of the day dressing up instead of learning things. In which case I will get a receipt so that I can write off the cost on my taxes, and then I will just have to simply refund everyone who donated to the crowdfunding campaign equally. Half the cost of the $5.27 it cost for the complete mustache pack. So that would be, if I do a quick calculation on my telephone, which is actually tantamount to a pocket computer, that would be $2.62, 62 and 1/2 cents, which I will round up to $2.63, divided amongst however many people it was that donated to my $12 crowdfunding campaign. And then, of course, I would have to spend a little bit of money on a checkbook so that I could write all these checks to everybody and mail them out individually. Then I'd have to pay for stamps. Let's just say that I do hope I end up using these, because I'm afraid that if I do not use these extra mustaches, I will be embroiled in quite the financial quagmire. I'm approaching the end of my hamburger. A couple more bites. Michael PP asks, Q, in your reporting, have you discovered what, if any, cheeses, spices, or powders, aka seasonings, McDonald's offered its pizza customers? And that is a very interesting question. I believe what you are referencing is the fact that most traditional pizzerias have an assortment of condiments and accoutrements available to people who want to, for lack of a better term, spice up their pizza with perhaps some grated Parmesan or some crushed red pepper, or salt, whatever people put on pizza. And when McDonald's served pizza, it certainly would have behooved them to have those things available, and I do not see any reason why not. In fact, in those days, the tables in the McDonald's dining room were laden with all sorts of things that they do not have on them anymore. Napkin dispensers, glass ashtrays, etc., etc. It's a bit of a shame. And when you need a napkin now, you have to go all the way to the, I don't know what they call that little station that has all of the plastic silverware and usually the straws, although at this McDonald's they make you go up and beg like a common beggar for a straw. But packets of ketchup, etc., etc. They make you go all the way there to get your napkins, which to me is sort of a self-defeating thing, because your hands are going to be caked in soil as you approach this napkin, and then you'll be fumbling around for these napkins. You'll be getting soil all over the napkins that are already in the pile. Other people's napkins that are good, it would be much soil dripping from your fingers onto the floor as you walk across the dining room onto other tables. And let's say, for instance, I don't know, you pass a diner who is using a scratch-off lottery ticket and you see over their shoulder that they happen to have won $5 or something such as that, and you want to give them a congratulatory pat on the back. Of course, this is just a reflexive muscle reaction for most people, and if your hand is covered in soil, the next thing you know, you've placed a soiled handprint on the back of this person's shirt, which they would not appreciate. Really negates their entire saving, or their entire winnings, because it costs over $5 to have a shirt dry cleaned. So it just opens a whole proverbial can of worms to have gotten rid of the napkin dispensers on each individual table. And of course, now that there are no ashtrays, all these tables are just covered in ash all the time. So my point being that back in the old days, in the heyday of McDonald's pizza, the early to mid 1990s, they probably would have thought nothing of adding some more condiments to the tables, such as cheese or crushed red pepper, or whatever it happens to be. And in fact, according to the official McDonald's pizza manual that I was able to obtain from an anonymous source, who happened to have worked at McDonald's and is now on public display at the McDonald's Museum in San Bernardino. According to that manual, one of the suggestions that it had for local McDonald's to try to drive pizza sales, to get people in the mood for pizza, is to decorate their McDonald's like a pizzeria, with checkered tablecloths and dimmed lights and Italian-style music, such as Frank Sinatra, or any other person who has ties to the mafia, who happens to have released a record, things like that. I do not remember any specific mention of additional condiments, but that would certainly seem to fit the atmosphere. So, to answer your question, even though I've never seen any evidence that McDonald's had anything like this, but I think it's highly likely that they did. Looking for more questions. I believe I saw one earlier that I did not get a chance to answer. I'm scrolling through them now. Something about the other program on the Pizza Plea Network, evidence file. I believe someone asked, and I cannot find it now. Perhaps they deleted the tweet. Or perhaps it was on Instagram. But someone asked me about the identity of the anonymous Australian man who hosts evidence file. And they said something along the lines of, surely you must know who he is. And yes, the answer is yes, I do know who he is. He is paid a salary. He's paid quite a large salary. It turns out that true crime is, well, I will not go into specific numbers, but true crime is much more lucrative a podcast genre than investigative journalism, or at least investigative journalism vis-a-vis McDonald's pizza. So, according to the terms of the contract that I unfortunately signed with this anonymous Australian man, I do have to pay an amount commensurate with the number of people listening to the program. And let's just say it is quite a lot. And he is making quite a bit of money. So, of course, I needed his personal information, his social security number, his banking information, etc. So I do know his identity. But for his personal safety, I do have to keep it a secret. Because, well, think about it. Evidence file, which, by the way, if you've not listened, is available wherever you get your podcasts. Evidence File is a true crime show. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that every episode is true, number one. Number two, every episode deals with a crime. Put that together, what do you get? True crime. Every episode deals with true crimes. That means that each of these crimes, being true, was committed by a real-life criminal. Now, I have not listened to every episode of the program. I am very busy. But I understand that some of these episodes of Evidence File deal with stories where the criminal in question ends up passing away in addition to their victims, or perhaps in the course of killing their victims. So they would not pose any danger, except perhaps in the afterlife, where their powers would increase 100,000, maybe even 1,000,000-fold. But many of these crimes also involve perpetrators who are still alive. And these are criminals. These are people who have committed crimes. Some might say that's the definition of a criminal. And therefore they cannot be trusted. Therefore they must be handled with great care. And so to avoid any sort of retaliation for someone who perhaps takes issue with the facts presented on an Evidence File episode, or perhaps wishes that their role in the crime in question were more aggrandized, or perhaps painted them in a better light, or whatever the case, they might be tempted, if they knew the identity of the host, to come after him or come after his family. I am not confirming or denying that he has a family. I'm just saying be a possibility. So he will remain anonymous for now, but well, it has been revealed that he is Australian, so that does narrow it down somewhat. There are only 7 or 8 dozen people who even live in Australia. And if you were particularly good at sleuthing or particularly skilled at deduction, you could perhaps observe everyone in Australia and see who has suddenly, obviously, come into quite a bit of money, perhaps from a very lucrative podcast contract that was signed, unfortunately, before my legal team had a chance to review it, and is spending the said money on ostentatious things, sort of new money type expenditures, such as cars with more than 4 wheels, or 2 ski-doos lashed together, or exotic animals, such as tigers or even bears, or hybrid human mermaids made by the Crispy program. Things like that. If you observe some of those things and you happen to notice someone in Australia who is demonstrating that kind of behavior, there might be a good chance that they're the same person who's hosting Evidence File. But if you are unable to uncover his identity on your own, first of all, I bear no legal responsibility for that. And secondly, I do ask that you keep it under your metaphorical hat, so to speak. Let's see, we have any more questions? Apparently Congress is streaming live on Facebook right now. Okay, well, that's a clever way to get around the restrictions of the C-SPAN up all night content guidelines. Although I do hope they aren't trying to cannibalize some of that audience by showing skin. Well, with that down, I believe we are approaching the end of this live broadcast. Even though I have not encountered any nefarious actors or really any suspicious figures whatsoever, save for that one girl who found the gift bag in inky blackness and brought it to the dumpster for some sort of late night quinceañera. Even though I have not encountered anything like that, I do hope that this has been an educational experience. If nothing else, you now know what it sounds like when I eat. Before I leave, however, I did want to do one thing. There's a camping tradition, and I'm stealth camping, but it is still camping, and there is a camping tradition that I would like to observe before I end the program, and that is the spooky story around the campfire. Now, in lieu of an open flame, I have loaded my broadcasting application with the sound of a crackling fire, and I'll just go ahead and play that now. And do you hear that? Is it too loud? Please let me know if it's too loud. So now, with the atmosphere set, let me put aside my metaphorical journalist's hat and instead don the figurative headwear of a master of the macabre as I read to you some of the terrifying tales contained within this particular McDonald's location's Yelp reviews. Dining room not open at 7:30 a.m., even though posted hours on the door are 5:30 to 12 o'clock. Waste of my time. Where's my lettuce and mayo? The disrespect. I am so P-I-S-T. I am so pissed off. I bought 2 McGriddles after a 16-hour shift at work. I called to tell McDonald's about my McGriddles missing my sausage and cheese, but I kept getting the busy tone. Time to rant a little. So, went to McDonald's with my daughter. We were craving French fries. And let's face it, nothing beats McDonald's fries. I went through the drive-thru and got to the window 15 minutes later. I handed him $7 for my $6.78 large fry and 2 drinks. He then stated, by the way, we don't have any coins for the change. The look on my face was dumbfounded. I then saw a sign posted on this window that I finally got to after 15 minutes in the drive-thru, saying something about a nationwide coin shortage. He said, "So, do you want to pay with a card?" I said, "No, I want to pay in cash." And my early morning... Sorry. Did not mean to break the spooky atmosphere. I said, "No, I want to pay in cash," and said, "Whatever," and moved to the next window. On the way home, my daughter asked me why this bothered me. After all, it was only 20 cents or so. I explained, yes, but for 10 people, that 20 cents is $2. And for 100 people, it is $20. And for 1,000 people, it is $200. Not sure about you, but I would imagine a few thousand people go there a day. So tell me, is this theft? Is this fair? Do they round to the nearest dollar? And if you are under 50 cents, they don't charge? I have heard of getting rid of the penny. I always thought that this is fair, as it costs more to produce the penny, and count the penny, and so on, than the penny is worth. This, however, seems a bit extreme. In this case, it took a long time for the car in front of me to pay, and I saw the driver hand the cashier coins. I assumed it was because the person in front wanted to pay an exact change. I now feel different. I also wonder why the cashier had no change in his drawer to offer me when the person in front of me used coins. Please let me know your thoughts. I think an enterprising owner is seeing an opportunity to take advantage, or an enterprising employee may be doing the same. This is the most disgusting, dirty, unsanitary McDonald's I have ever been in. Food all over the floor. S-word on the bathroom walls. Floors look like they have never been mopped. OMG, call the health inspector. I am extremely upset with this place due to their lack of professionalism when it comes to treating the customer well, report, or without contempt. One manager in particular, her name was Maria, working in the early morning shift, and May 11th, 2017, treated me like I was doing something wrong or illegal in her facility. The law clearly states that a public restroom may be used to take care of small personal care necessities as long as they are in the perimeter a personal care and or using public irrigation. Not, and find her facility, the locker, we state that a public restroom, maybe you could take care of her small, mean as long as they are in the perimeter a personal care and or using public irrigation. Not only was I confronted by 2 employees just for washing my face after my early morning jog to their facility, but I was treated as though I was doing something more than just standing in front of the bathroom mirror. The allotted time I was in the restroom was literally less than 15 minutes. I just wanted to check myself for 80 irregular heart movements on my wash tracks, my heartbeat, as I work out, and to make sure I didn't have any sweat running down my body before I bought something to eat and went home. Truthfully, in this matter of being treated as though I am someone who doesn't deserve to be in the restaurant and eat their food, regardless of what I may be doing in the bathroom, finally, it is not okay with me to be accused of something I'm not doing or treated like a criminal. In this particular instance, with McDonald's location lost my business, not only Mary disappointed, but with them, but a plan to pursue it in the Human Resources Department. These people couldn't get the order right to save their life. All smiles and no brains. I asked for 2 sides of jalapeno peppers. Again, they tried to sell me a jalapeno burger. Thought I cleared that up, paid, and guessed what? No D-word peppers at all. Terrible drive-through service. 2 weeks ago, I ordered a milkshake, waited 5 minutes for the guy to tell me it's out of order. Then tonight, at 10:30, tried again, and their machine was not working again. I guess they don't understand that people want dessert at night. This has got to be the worst McDonald's I have ever been to. My friends and I placed a rather large order, about 24 burgers, and we waited half an hour before asking what was up with our order. It turns out they gave away our order to someone else, and we had to wait another 10 minutes for our food. And the only thing they thought they could do to appease us was give us a free apple pie to share between the 5 of us. 1 small apple pie. Like that makes it all right. I would think McDonald's at least monitors who takes what bags so people don't get free food. Someone else took our food, and they probably had their own food, and McDonald's didn't even make an effort to find out who took our food. They don't even care if people are stealing from them. C-word service and C-word attitude. They wasted my time and ruined my night. What an S-word ending to what was supposed to be a great day. I ordered 47 McChickens. Pardon me, I dropped my reading glasses. I ordered 47 McChickens and small... They keep slipping out of my hands. I ordered 47 McChickens and small fries. And when I tell you what happened when I ate those fries, the word dookie doesn't make any sense and is an understatement to what happened here. So the problem started when I sat B-word A-word naked on my cold toilet seat and let everything in my body shoot out as if Hitler was back alive and behind my small, cold a-hole. Sorry, I really need to get a chain for these reading glasses. Where was I? As if Hitler was back alive and behind my small, cold a-hole. Oh, there we are. And when you say that it had not been from these McChickens, man, you'd be wrong, because those things remain rock hard and shoot out like a sniper round. And when I tell you there had not been blood, man, I would be lying. Well, hopefully that was not too spooky, but I could not go through an entire camping expedition without telling a spooky campfire story. Thank you for listening to this special live stealth camping edition of Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's. I will be in this parking lot for quite some time, and I do plan to do some additional reporting, so please keep in contact with me throughout the evening on social media if you so wish. Hopefully I will see the sunrise without having been fatally fiddled with. Well, anyway, farewell for now. This is Brian Thompson, journalist, signing off. See if I can get this bag of apple slices open. Oh my word, what is this thing inside? Is it moving? Oh no, that's a bug.